Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Doctors in the House Health Show on 99.1 FM, WUJM, St. Petersburg Community Radio. We have an excellent program for you tonight. Please stay tuned. Welcome to the Doctors in the House, your health show, a program about wellness, mental health, and disease prevention. I'm Dr. Morency, your host. Thank you for tuning in to 99.1 FM WGM, St. Petersburg, Florida, and those online, 99gemstheberg.com. Our phone number is 727-837-2416. Our topic today is spiritual healing. We're going to meet Irma with insulin-dependent type 2 diabetes. And our special guest is Dr. Cowell, MD, who's going to be there. She's been there with us for the past 6 months. So the goal of today's show is to help seal in your mind the role as well as the power of spirituality as the greatest but vastly underutilized healing tool for human beings. Dr. Cowell presented our point of view during the last 6 shows. So what I'm going to do is briefly review with you the road that we have traveled to get here today so that the whole principles made sense to you. In our first show, we started with the stress. We talk about stress and how pervasive stress is in our life. But the fact is, while our body was naturally created to deal with acute stressful event, a major one, major disaster, man-made or natural, and that would trigger automatically the emergency response system, the whole fight or flight response to help us out. But our body really has had no response for this continuous, persistent, constant daily hassles, those annoying what we call ANT or automatic negative thoughts, which constantly assault us, our mind, which result in our body being flooded with cortisol and adrenaline, those emergency hormone, which is supposed to be there on a temporary basis, but not on this persistent level, because otherwise damage will occur. In our second show, briefly, that living your life in balanced mind and body and soul, in order to achieve continuous health, we have established that in order to get to the root cause of disease or problem, the 3 pillars that make us human, the physical body, the mind, the soul, have to be present, have to be in the picture. And we had discussed this element later on. And during that show, Dr. Cowell shared with us her journey from being an ordinary physician to later becoming strongly, deeply connected with her spiritual roots. Just halfway through her medical career, which essentially changed her life. Ultimately, she became this natural, intuitive healer, teacher that she is today. Now, we start getting serious. At least she brought us this seriousness in our show because she wanted to touch people. She wanted to talk about really what makes a difference. And that's when we talk about, on the third show, how to strengthen your spiritual foundation. We call that a part 1 because it turned out that the stronger your spiritual foundation is, the more you are able to resist the harmful effect of what we call the toxic emotion. Generally in a package, stress, past and present trauma, which actually cause constant damage to our body. But she defined the toxic emotions are those things that are pervasive in our psyche, in our mind, in our soul, the guilt, the shame, the resentment, the old grudges, the self-hatred, unresolved grief, failure to forgive ourselves and others. There was a whole list. And when those toxic emotions leak into our body, we get sick or worse. She also explained some of the causes of our weak spiritual foundation. She described about 3 types. And the first type is for those folks who are raised in a religious family but suffered trauma, neglect, and abuse as a child. There's no God. They're not being protected. They trust, but nothing helped. And she actually admitted that she had her own personal experience. That's what happened to me, she said. I was one of them. The second type is those who have already a strong faith but become angry at God when they start going through adversity. Unfortunately, life is a duality. There's good and bad, positive, negative. Things happen. And the third category is those who are raised in a family that do not believe in God or any supreme being. So some of the things that really affect our strength, the strength of our spirituality. But the bottom line is when we have a strong spiritual foundation, we can protect ourselves, our physical body, from the punishment caused by those toxic emotions. In our first show, we went through how to strengthen our spiritual body foundation, part 2. This is where we got into the nitty-gritty action that we need to take to strengthen our spiritual foundation. In other words, Dr. Cowell provided us with the tools to heal ourselves. And I'm going to briefly mention some sample of the tool that we discuss and we have to use. But what I would suggest is this subject is so serious, so important, can be so powerful to us. For those who probably briefly listen to the show, may not pay attention that much, it might be a good idea to go back, especially the 3rd and 4th show, which is how to strengthen our spiritual foundation, part 1 and part 2, so that what we're going to hear today will actually sink in and make sense to you. All right? And let me again say it, and she will confirm. This is not about religion. It's about our connection to something greater than ourselves. Connections with the element of nature which are in us. We do have that power. If you want to call it God, God is everywhere, including ourselves. And we didn't have this brain to make ourselves sick. All right? And the last show we had is called Our Body is Made to Heal Itself. And this is the time where, because I'm getting a little deeper into this. I've practiced medicine for almost 40 years, but never really got a chance to get into spirituality, although intuitively I've done my best because I recognize the humanity in everything, in every human being. So the last show, we unequivocally told you that our body is made to heal itself. Now, this one may be hard to believe to some because we have been conditioned not to believe that. And also, we've been conditioned to accept the fact that our body is weak, fragile, and perfect, susceptible to various disease. It is actually the contrary. Our body is strong, our body is powerful. We need to have more faith in our body. And once you correct some of those misconceptions and learn to trust, to have confidence in your body, the most sophisticated machine ever created, then you can incorporate those tools in our life, in your life, and you'll be amazed by the transformation. So in a sense today, it's going to be a summary. This is what we're going to do. Our goal today is to use all those ideas and principles from these shows to create a framework for a fundamental concept, which is not new, by the way, for us to remember, for always you to remember, and that is our body is powerful. Our body is magnificent. Our body is a healing machine when we can build that strong, solid spiritual foundation. What we're going to do today, we're going to come with a live example. Today we're going to meet Irma. Although we've heard about Irma and talking about in the previous shows, Irma is a living example of a human being previously trapped in a life of suffering and misery, who've been treated by multiple doctors with no relief in sight. He was very sick. Until her life was transformed after she had a consultations with our distinguished guest, who, by the way, just for you, those of you who may not know, she's a board-certified OBGYN, she's a primary care specialist, an award-winning author, who for the past few years have been working as an intuitive health consultant and teacher. She's also the director of an innovative type 2 diabetes remission program, and currently she's writing a book about that called Farewell Type 2 Diabetes. So it is my pleasure to welcome back to the show Irma's doctor. Excuse me. Dr. Cowell, and she will present Irma to you. Okay? And hopefully all this will make a little better sense because this is a concrete example. Dr. Cowell, welcome back, and thank you again for really coming and help us in this show for us to understand this. So,
thank you so much for having me. It's giving me the opportunity of. I am a teacher. I have so much information and so much knowledge that I want to share, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to do that.
Oh, no problem. So why don't you go ahead and tell us about Irma?
Okay, let's talk about Irma. Irma, she's 42-year-old female, and she was referred to me because she was hemorrhaging to death. I mean, she's having heavy menstrual cycle, and she was, her hemoglobin was half of what it's supposed to be, and about a week prior, they had given her 2 units of blood. Whenever somebody comes to me, when they refer to me to do a biopsy, to do a gynecological procedure, I don't go and just, okay, open your legs and I do the procedure. I always want to know about the whole patient.
Sure.
Because sometimes, by knowing what's going on with the whole life, I'm able to help them. They will stop bleeding, and subsequently, they will, whatever diagnosis or the diagnosis they have. Mm-hmm. Usually, these patients will come about 10 diagnoses. Irma, when she came to see me, when I look at her record, she has lost 10 pounds. Her hemoglobin A1C was 12.5. It's supposed to be around 6.
Yes.
Below 6. And her fasting blood sugar was about 300 to 400. And she was taking 3 oral medications, and she was on insulin.
So she was being medicated, but her sugar is not responding.
One medication, 2 medications, 3 medications.
Wow.
And then finally they said, okay, you need to have insulin, because by then she has diabetic gingivitis. Her gums were being rotting, and they put her on antibiotics. They say you have to take insulin. She didn't like to. She hated the needles.
Yeah.
So, and she was, when I look at the list of diagnoses, she had 10 diagnoses, and anxiety, depression, insomnia, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, high lipids, all these things.
Sure.
And but then I realized that she came to the office about 8 months prior. Let's say I saw her in November. She went to the clinic in April complaining, I can't sleep, and I'm sad. So she had the diagnosis, and I'm anxious. So then usually we have to find a root cause. This is what I'm about.
Sure.
What is it what you said before, this beautiful body who can heal itself, what has been happening?
Yeah, she's been fine.
What happened?
Before. Yeah.
Yeah, so I asked her, okay, what happened to you? I saw you were fine in March. Yes. In February. Yes. What happened to you? Nothing. What happened in January? And the cat came out of the bag.
Yeah.
Her son, who was in college, came for a visit, and he was pestering him to go to the store and buy something. He said, "No, Mom, I don't want to go. He said, please go. And of course, he went. On the way back, and he was driving from the grocery store. He was hit by a drunk driver and instantly was killed.
Yeah.
And then when the door opened, she thought it was her son. It was the police telling her, your son got killed.
Wow.
And she started to cry. A mother is not supposed to lose her son or to bury her son. So what has been happening, by the time they realized, okay, you have diabetes, they're looking at all these blood tests, more diagnoses are being added, your cholesterol, your blood pressure, and then you have to exercise, you have to
be on
you have to
diet.
have a low-carb diet, portion control, calorie count, low fat, and all these things. And she's taking all these medications, like I say, sleeping pill, anti-anxiety pill, anti-hypertension pill, and SSRI, statin, and the hypoglycemic medications, and the insulin, and the antibiotics, and iron. So
I counted about 12 medications.
Yes.
So
this is the patient that's sitting in front of me. So when I ask her, and because that is a root cause, and it is usually an adverse life event.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, let me ask you quick questions.
Yes.
In a prior consultations with the other physicians, was it known that her son had died? Did that come up?
I have no clue.
Okay.
Maybe she might have mentioned it. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Okay.
Because I'm looking at her, and I have about 15 minutes to be with her.
Wow.
I just know that, I know she has the expression anxiety. But also things we need to know. When your body is so shaken up, and then you give you a statin, it's going to give you, most of the time it does give you diabetes. And also they put on SSRI, which is an antidepressant, and the result is going to be heavy bleeding. Because I would say, why are all these women that have to see as a gynecologist to do biopsy is because they are on SSRI. And it's scientifically proven that SSRI, an antidepressant, is going to make you bleed. So that's what I do, because it's the root cause. What is it? And whether it's when having a consult with the patient, he or she will. I will ask them, what are the 3 most top stressors in your life?
Mm-hmm.
They will just tell me.
Is that the life inventory formula you use? Okay.
I said, but also I go like a retrospective, like backward timeline. Like for her, you were fine. When was the last time you were okay? Mm-hmm. I was okay in March, but then in April my son died, and then things started getting worse. But then in February she was fine, and so I said, that's what I said. What happened? Usually it takes a month or 2, according to the major trauma, for your body to start reacting.
Okay. So,
and then what she was frustrated about. She missed her son, and by the time we're talking, she's crying again. And she hate pricking her finger. She hate giving herself insulin. And then one of these things, remember we talked about the spiritual, you lose it, your connection under adversity, and that's what happened to her. She's a Catholic. She had strong faith. She used to pray regularly, went to church every Sunday. Before her son died, she stopped.
Well, and
she was saying, God, you have forsaken me. Why did you take my son? Oh, she was so upset. Also, she was angry at her husband for not understanding her pain to move on. And he was threatening to leave because he said, I understand, but then he goes to work. She was a homemaker. When I come home, he's just constantly crying and crying and crying. And so at the time, there's a medical record. I have to write something. Mm-hmm. I call it post-traumatic insulin resistance syndrome. Something is going to make you, when you're under acute stress like that, there is something that happened to the insulin, so you cannot control your blood sugar. And also I call it complicated grief. It was the grieving of a son and all the stress she was having from being a diabetic now.
Well, the stress never stops. She has the grief going on as a fuel, which is a major stress, and she has anxiety, depressions.
Yes, but there were more stress.
And then she has medication that may actually make this thing
her sicker.
Worse.
Yes.
And then she's been having what we call a pharmacy because she's on 12 pills. And
Yes.
most of those pills have side effects.
Side effects, which mean the statin make her blood sugar staying high. Yes.
So you really have to, because, to me, what's intriguing about this case is the fact that she's doing all the stuff, but she couldn't interact with her husband or her 8-year-old daughter. And she was in bed all the time and no energy and just
No.
was about to lose her family on top of the
No.
son.
It's not only to lose her family, she was dying.
Okay.
She was physically, her body, she was dying. And then when she was having more stress because I call it diabetes-related stress and burnout.
Okay.
So that means she's checking her blood sugar, she's constantly checking and nothing is getting better. And many times the nurse, when she goes to the clinic, or let's say it happened to patients, you're doing everything we told you, but it's because you are non-compliant. So they put it in your chart, non-compliant patient.
Correct. Correct.
Yes.
And there's a lot of people, even before they have the diagnosis of diabetes, they're already scared because they know they're going to lose their leg, they're going to have a heart attack, they're going to lose their eyes, your kidneys going to fall apart. So this diagnosis, people better be sure about it because it makes the patient
even worse,
very afraid, and which in itself is a driver of stress. It's going to create more problems. So that's what happened. And the sugar goes up, continue to go up.
So that's what I tell my patients. If you go to a doctor or you go anywhere you go and your blood sugar is elevated or your hemoglobin A1C, you go, that's what we discuss before, my method that where you control the stress response and you wait for 3 months to go back and have your blood sugar repeated. Unless, of course, it's over 200, 250, you might have to be treated. Don't go and run and be treated when it's because it's a lab result.
So now with the I'm still interested in her. So you ask her about the life inventory question, or she fill out the form and she
No, it was no form.
Okay.
Irma came sitting in front of me.
Oh, okay.
When I do consult, I have the luxury for the person to fill out the form. I am in a busy place where I have to use my intuition, my quantum healing, and everything in an espresso.
Okay.
No, I just ask her because I say why, and I just ask her why do you think all this is happening? But I don't think she even knew. She didn't know this particular patient. Some people say I'm bleeding because my husband left me.
Okay.
But for Irma, I had to show her the correlation because of the grief and being angry at God that she was having the uncontrolled diabetes and all the other diagnoses.
So how long did you do that in with a series of visit, follow up, or
no? The first visit. One visit.
The first visit. How much time you spent with her? The first visit, if you remember.
I spent with her maybe in total 15 minutes.
So you were able to cover this in 15 minutes? At least getting it to start it like this? Okay.
Because this is the way it goes. I said, okay, I look at a chart, I just glance it. I've learned to do speed reading. I glance all the diagnoses and I looked at her and I asked her why. And she tells me and she started crying.
Okay.
And I said, because I know because grief is going to give you everything that she had in her diagnosis, plus the medication they were giving her as time went by because nothing was working. Because the root cause was a grief. So,
in other words, once you assess the grief, that become a priority for you. That's where you put your money in.
I zeroed in.
Okay,
it's
so in
grief.
other words...
And then...
Okay.
And then it's not only that. They've done everything.
Okay. So
Science had done everything.
She had
everything.
All the results, all the lab, and all the X-rays, and she's
on the ultrasound for uterus to make
Okay.
sure she didn't have any fibroids or anything making it bleed.
Okay. So
Yes.
in other words, as an intuitive, plus you have actually the background as a traditional doctor, and then now you have this added spirituality, so you can focus.
And then I call it my intuition
Your
of
intuition.
knowing and seeing and asking and putting things together. I call it in a blank.
Okay. So tell me about, I'd like in part of, so after the first visit, what happened? I mean, was there follow-up?
After the first visit, I go to this particular clinic. I saw, no, it's not the first visit, because what do I do? What is the treatment? The treatment, she had everything. So I asked her, because I said, you need to pray. That's the only thing you have.
Okay.
And so I had her, I put some paper on the floor, put a bunch of gowns, and put more paper from the examining room table, and had her kneel in front of me. And I said, this is the only result you have. Science cannot do anything for you. I had to say, Jesus, she's Catholic, right? She said, we're going to pray to Jesus. That's a prayer my grandmother used to pray when things were tough. And I personally prayed too when things were tough. Now, I don't need that now, because I'm able to change my consciousness within a few seconds.
Okay.
And it was Jesus, sweet Jesus, the Lord of the strong, help me, I'm weak. And she prayed, she cried, and she dropped on the ground. Then I told her, this is what you're going to do. When you go home, whenever you miss your son, but also the most important thing, she needs a reason to live.
Okay.
I said, you're going to die, but then your husband, your husband is young, and you have an 8-year-old daughter. He's going to marry somebody, and then most probably miss with your daughter. Do you want that? She said, no, I don't want that. I don't want that. So she had many. So you can, that's the thing. It's a combination of things. It's not only having the faith, but having something to live for.
Yeah. So in other words,
yes.
As an intuitive doctor, you have to be tuning. You are tuning to this. This is not something that any regular doctor can do.
Oh, no.
Okay.
No.
But the principle is
Oh,
still...
there might be some, but not that I know.
I understand that, because, a lot of times when I'm basically exhausted with, I don't have the answer for this, okay? Mm-hmm. And then that's when that will trigger for me to open either I have to listen more, I have to ask more questions, but that takes a lot of, that takes a lot of times and a lot of
visit, but you need to know, I had to learn that after the earthquake.
Yeah.
When I went to Haiti after the earthquake, and I have a line, maybe 100 patients waiting for me, but also they believe that they have faith in me. They have faith that Dr. Cowell is going to help them.
Okay.
So it was easy to work. It's just like, this is what's happening. This is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. And then also what I do, I have them pray. I say, pray and ask. Jesus say, ask and you shall receive. Say, I want to sleep at night. I don't want to have any more nightmares. I don't want to have heart palpitation. And they tell me, and I say, amen, amen. That means, and so it is. And that's it.
Now, with Irma, so when you send her home, I'm still interested in the follow-up. When you send her home...
Oh, when I send her home, and then I have her to go back to her doctor, because now her blood sugar is going to drop half by the time she goes home. Because for the first time, she has some release. No more cortisol pumping in her body. So I had her to make an appointment with the doctor, the primary care doctor, the next day to teach her about tapering off her medication. Thank God she was on insulin, because in insulin you have to inject yourself after checking your blood sugar. You have a certain level to do.
Okay.
So then I saw her a month later.
Okay. All right. Okay. And so you saw her a month later, and what happened?
When I saw her a month later, usually I don't recognize the patients. They start screaming and hugging me. I'm 6 foot tall, by the way. They're always smaller. So grab me when I go and call her, and I say, Irma, and she looked at me, but I don't recognize the patients, because by the time they come to me, they're dying.
Wow.
And then there's a bright light, and she put her hands around my waist, and she said, my angel, my angel, my angel. And then she told me that within 1 week, she had to stop the insulin.
Well, this is what's so impressive about this. And because you kind of outlined what happened. So a month later, she had resumed her normal period. There was no bleeding. There was no need for insulin. So she'd been off all her hypoglycemic medication, which
she was tapering the last one, I think, because pretty soon, because I took away what was burning, what was causing her blood sugar to be elevated.
That's simple.
Wow.
That's
simple.
So she returned to normal sleep, no more anxiety,
yes.
Normal blood pressure.
No more blood pressure in that visit. And then I usually do a follow-up visit. By the time I saw in 6 months, she was happy. She's most
fine.
of the medication. Yes.
She's cured miraculously.
You know what? I'm writing a book called. I'm writing a book. I think it's called Miraculous Remission.
Recovery.
And it's not miraculous.
I got you. I understand that because there's so many things that happen when we don't understand it.
Yes, we call it a miracle.
We call it a miracle. So in your world, this is not a miracle. But for me, as a regular family doctor who basically into the system, essentially, we prescribe medication, we do some listening, we do some counseling, we do stuff like that, but it doesn't, something else missing. Because, actually somebody sent me a video today of another example.
I saw it. You sent it to me with the guy who said,
yes.
God is going to take care of it again. I don't worry. And this is what happened.
Wow,
so,
that was amazing. Yeah.
Yes, and then this is what happened with the patients when they come to me. And then the book is called Miraculous Recovery: 9 Key Factors for Healing Cancer and Other Illnesses. And I'm starting the introduction. It's not. This people call me a miracle worker. It's just like somebody, and I'm an engineer, and then I put a rocket on the moon.
Wow.
It's not a miracle. It's just we're able to harness the energy to have something very solid. First, they start with a little plane that crashed, and then they have a jet, and they have the Concorde who goes for 2 hours, and they have the satellite things that go within a few seconds. And then when I look at the plane flying over, and then you don't think it's a miracle because but then if somebody sees this, this is a miracle.
Now,
so this is what I'm saying. It is not a miracle. There is a formula that I use, and I've been using it for years. Then it's easy for me, and I just give it to the patient.
Okay, so there's a formula, and then most of the patients that you see, I mean, obviously they probably know of you or your reputation, so they kind of there's no surprise for them. They know what's
at the clinic. At the clinic, it's a clinic for the poor. Or when I go to Haiti, people say, Dr. Cowell is here. Oh, my God, they're going to heal. So I don't have to do anything because they're already healed. Wow. They have faith. They have strong faith in God and Jesus, and they have faith in me.
Okay.
That's the faith that healed them.
Well, that's very true. That's very true because if the patient trusts you, they know you're going to do well by them.
Yes.
They just, whatever you say, they follow. And they do.
Yes. They do. But also, I've been doing it for so many years. Mm-hmm. The patients, let's say, for example, I do a lot of things over the phone, but let's say if the person I see me in person, when I lay hands on you, and then I show you how to breathe, how to calm your heart and everything, the patient usually, when they close their eyes, they open their eyes and they say, I feel that 20 pounds have been lifted off my body.
Now, this patient is, a very particular patient because she had multiple chronic disease, but she didn't.
No, she didn't have chronic disease. She didn't have chronic. She was seen in the clinic 8 months prior. She was being diagnosed with a bunch of things.
Well, in other words, she found you, so therefore she was saved from having chronic disease, but.
That's it. Now we're talking about.
When we have hypertension, diabetes, congestive heart failure, stuff like that, those are.
No, she wasn't that. It was in.
No, I understand
months.
that, but I'm talking about chronic, what we describe as chronic condition. Okay.
Yes.
Now, so would you have the same result with a patient with malignant cancer?
If they want to heal, it will resolve.
If they want to heal, that's very interesting.
Yes. If they want to heal, I have somebody who just died not too long ago, 55 years old, and then I saw her at the concert. Number one, she didn't find me.
Okay.
Somebody referred her to me, and she's been for 3 months. She was raped every night for 3 months when she was 16. Mm-hmm. She didn't commit suicide because she wanted to be there for her mother. But then what happened is I did all the things. She ate organic. She did everything, but she had a very rare case of cancer. So whenever they say rare, there is something, or nobody can explain. It's a trauma. And then so when we did that, she lived for 5 years, but she could never get rid of the guilt and the shame.
That's
the shame. But then she's been harboring this. She was, let's say, 40 years. So cancer, it's something that is eating you up.
Yes, I understand.
But then it was too embedded that she didn't have it. She could not. But maybe if she found me and she said, I want to live, she would.
Okay, I
but
understand.
The difference was somebody referred her.
So if you're not...
So I don't take cases where people, my mom say I should see you. No. Dr. Cowell, I was praying last night, and you came up on my screen, on my computer, and then God said, she's the one. Or they see my book, or they see me somewhere, and the voice said, she's it. And they come ready healed because they believe I'm going to heal them.
Not only that, but just like any addiction disease or cancer we're talking about, if the patient is not ready to heal, they're not gonna heal.
You know what? It cost me. I remember as a consultant, I needed to explain people who I am, and I paid $600. That was 2009. And you see, I work with those who are ready to heal and are looking for a path to a quality life. Okay. That's what I got with the 3 days of consultant finding the sentence. You have to be ready. And if you start asking me, how are you going to do it? What? I say, nope, no. And I put it. I used to put. I think it might be still on my website. If you asking me these questions, you're not asking me how are you going to do it. No, the people come and say, heal me, please.
Okay.
God send me. You're an earth angel. They call me. You're an earth angel, and I know you can do it. Lay hands on me, and we pray. Holy Spirit. I say, you call the Holy Spirit is the ultimate healer, and Jesus. Well, that's what you believe.
If you look at some of the principle of the metaphysics of nature, and we're all part of nature, and we talk about when dealing with stress or with disease, we as the patient, as the human being, we do have to trust that indeed, we mentioned it the last show, that you need to believe in the power of your body, because your body is spirit first.
Yes.
Which need a manifestation. So this cover is just a manifestation of the spirit, of the greater power that control everything, so to speak. So if you believe that your body is magnificent, is strong, is powerful, it cannot break down, most likely you're going to be, this can happen until such time when you have to go, because at some point we all have to go because the life... you'll be... The life energy run out of the body, so you go.
That's what I plan to do. I'm 72 years old. I'm turning 72 in 2 days. I am in perfect health.
Okay.
And I say, I have a contract with my body. My spirit is talking to you. I went to a doctor for bugging me. You have to have a checkup. And, where is your pharmacy? I said, I don't have a pharmacy. I don't take any medication. How come? Because I said, this spirit and this body have a contract. The day she cannot take care of itself, when the body cannot take care of itself, I'm gone. Yeah. And that's what my grandmother and my great-grandmother did.
Yeah, because we have a term. You have a term limit. How much time we can actually...
Yeah, the day I cannot wash myself or somebody has to clean me, I'm gone in a week.
Okay. So in the case of Irma, you have a method for quick relaxation you call CCPP that you come up with?
It's controlled breathing, center in the mind, positive affirmation, and then tapping, precision tapping. So I show that to my patient. I show that to my patients when they come because this is cutting the stress response that's causing the blood sugar to be elevated, that's causing the cancer. When you do that, you use it so you don't have the stress. You cut it out, and I show them. And then I have a course that online said 4 quick ways to stop the stress response for optimum health. And I have I should have it on my website soon. Okay. And also, I have for her, it was also the prayer. For her, she had to pray because it was a prayer. I gave her the prayer. But some of the patients, I have some audios how to relax and stay relaxed with the opposite of the stress response and the relaxation response. And then so it depends on the patient. There's different patients. I do whatever I feel is good for them. For her, she didn't have time to think.
Yeah, I
and then she
understand
had to pray. When she misses her son at night, I can sleep and I say, you go on your knees and say, Jesus, sweet Jesus, help me. And then you go to and tap. Then she taps and she goes to sleep.
And each of us, we're not at the same level of spirituality.
Yes.
Anyway, there are degrees. Because if I say, I have a certain affirmation I make, if I say that the universe works for me, so I have to be able to know what I'm talking about, and then not only to believe it, to know that it's going to happen. Because a lot of time, even people have difficulty standing in front of a mirror, say, I love myself.
But for this, in the case when the patient is sick, we choose an affirmation together.
Okay.
We choose an affirmation. Like people, we've been raped, and then they don't know it's consciously. They're hypervigilant. They're constantly on the fight or flight.
Worried, yes, yeah.
I would say, all is well. And for some people, I would say, something is happening, and they say, how can they do that, God? I say, thy will be done, or all things unfold in divine order, or I surrender. So each person, I know, it's just like I know exactly what they need. Is the medication. I'm not prescribed. I put it in a Post-it note for them and have them, I take their wallet and put it myself.
Yeah.
I've touched so many wallets, and people don't give their wallets to nobody. But I say, give me your wallet, and they give it to me. And then I write it and I put it in there. Yes.
Well, this is amazing, and that case certainly really put into perspective some of the principles we've been talking about from the beginning. Yes. Okay, and and the most important thing, actually, at least the minor thing people can do, is to believe in that body. And I've learned that in yoga. This is a perfect machine, but
yes.
But we know more about our car sometimes, how to maintain our car, but we don't even know how to do with the body. Just to believe that body is powerful, and the suggestion and the talk, we can talk to the body. When you're talking to the body, you're talking to spirit, you're talking to God, really.
Oh, sometimes, I was, one day I had a pinched nerve on the way back from Haiti in the bad road. And then I had to go to a chiropractor. I had to go because I was a pinched nerve, and then I couldn't walk. And then I was like totally, I have to lay in bed for 2-3 days. And one day I had something to do, and I'm thinking, the body gives me a little sign. And one of the signs is my panties start getting too tight on the left side. And one day I realized, I have to listen to my body. And then when I feel my panty are tight, it's the body telling me. The body tells you.
The body gives you a signal. The body gives you a signal all the time.
All the time, but we're too busy to listen.
We're not listening.
I realized, when I start feeling a little numbness on my thighs, just gently, it's the nerve telling me I'm going to entrap. So then when I found out, that was in 2003.
Yeah.
And then, so let's say in 2004, I was going to go somewhere, and then I couldn't rest whatever I was supposed to do. You know what I did? My sister was there. She was laughing. My husband. And I went and I slapped I slapped it. I said, get out. Leave me alone. Yeah. And then I went to do my things, and I've never had to go to the emergency room and get a shot.
Correct. So we are on that level. Listen, that's a fascinating case, and that really, as I said, that illustrates this stuff. So let me ask you, we're running out of time again. How would you summarize this, and what advice you would give as we trying to put this principle together?
So what I would say, a symptom is a tip of the iceberg. Whenever you have anything going on with you, you have to ask yourself, what is going on? What is my body getting to tell me? Okay. And then depends on wherever listen to your body.
Yeah.
Listen to your body.
Pay attention.
Be connected. I have a book who's coming out soon, and it's called Strengthening Your Spiritual Foundation for Optimum Health.
Okay.
Get rid of the toxic emotion. Okay. Be connected. Have people around you who support you. Have people who walk in faith.
Okay.
Have people, and then know that the body and then your connection is the best medicine.
In other words, some of the tools you actually gave us the last time when we discussed how to strengthen your spirituality. To me, as a tech because to me, the case of Irma is not a miracle. This is something that I've seen in my own practice where I had no part of it, but it happened. I mean, people, and then when I used to do geriatrics, I see a lot of miracle in geriatrics. Those people, I saw a guy, I listened to his heart, and I said, this guy should be in ICU somewhere else, ICU. And he looked at me, smiled, he said, I scared the heck out of all my doctors because they cannot figure this out, but he's walking, he's driving, and everything like that.
Yeah.
So this is not a miracle, and for people who really have a solid foundation, they're going to do.
They will do miracles in their own life.
Now, my thing would be somehow if we could start from the beginning in our society and teach our kids not to be afraid. I know, not to be afraid, but that they are special, they are loved, they have respect, and they should trust their body and trust all living things. I
know, but everybody now is connected with a little cell phone.
Well, I understand. Those are the things that we don't have any control over. So
no control.
Because life's going to go on anyway. But, let me quote you because I like one of the passages you said before we go. Mm-hmm. You said, let me quote. This is you talking. I need to emphasize that I don't heal anyone. I am just a mirror. They ask with faith. I get inspired. And wait to tell them, and they have the opportunity to heal themselves if they want to. And that's very important.
And so it is. And my spiritual mentor, Dr. Reverend Joy Alma said, and I say, I of myself do nothing, but the Holy Spirit works through me. Thank you, Jesus, for the work. Amen.
Thank you, Dr. Cowell, Jamura, Dr. Cowell. This is an amazing program, and we appreciate that. And my folks out there, listeners, to learn more about the subject, please, we can visit Dr. Cowell's website, www.drcowell.com, and she wanted me to spell it. It's DrCarolle.com. So she's actually a fascinating book she's working on that's going to be coming out is the farewell to type 2 diabetes, because you see, you certainly seems to be eliminating diabetes from the vocabulary. In other words, diabetes can disappear like this.
And we need to say diabetes is called hyperglycemia or high blood sugar.
I understand.
That's it.
Okay.
It's the cortisol and the medication that make it high. That's it. And the complication is the blood sugar that's causing all the complication in your eyes, your nerves, your kidneys, your heart. The blood vessels in your arm. That's it.
And the book that I like, you wrote called Forgiving Yourself and Others, How to Unleash Your Future by Freeing Yourself from the Past Traumas on your website.
Those are the toxic emotions that make us sick.
Appreciate you. Thank you very much on behalf of the entire audience. Thank you for all you do and bringing this kind of important information to us. And ladies and gentlemen, if you want to listen to the show, the copy of it will be posted on my YouTube channel, www.youtube.com/Yves Morency. And please contact the radio station to show your support. No donation is too small. I thank you for your attention. Thank you. Have a good month. We'll see you next month. Thank you very much.